Chapter 1. The Betrayal That Broke Her. The night was supposed to belong to him. Daniel, the golden politician, standing beneath the bright lights of the televised debate, smiling like he already owned the city. And in the shadows, hidden from the cameras, Elena watched with a heart that was equal parts fire and ice. He was not just another candidate to her. He was the man who had destroyed her career. The man who had once promised her forever, only to trade her for ambition. Every word out of Daniel's mouth was polished, rehearsed, and dripping with the charm that had made voters swoon. But Elena knew better. She had lived through the darker version, the one who whispered lies behind closed doors, who bribed officials to push her out and left her reputation in ruins. Tonight, watching him bask in applause, she clenched her fists until her nails dug into her palms. He had stolen everything from her, and the world had no idea. A hand suddenly touched the back of her chair. A low voice murmured, "You look like you're plotting someone's downfall." Elena turned sharply, and her eyes met Marcus. Strategist. Manipulator. The mind behind Daniel's fiercest rival. He was known for turning campaigns into blood sport, a man whispered about in headlines but rarely seen in person. And now he was leaning close, his gaze cutting straight through her. "Marcus," she said coldly, "you shouldn't sneak up on people, especially not people with good reason to hate you." His smirk barely moved. "I'm not the one you hate." He islanded. His chin tilted toward the stage, where Daniel's smile gleamed like a blade. "And you, Elena, might just be the one person with the power to bring him down." Her chest tightened. She wanted to laugh at the audacity, but something in his eyes stopped her. Calm, calculating, certain. He wasn't guessing. He knew. "What do you think I have?" she asked carefully. Marcus lowered his voice until only she could hear. "Proof. I know about the bribes. I know how he forced you out. What I don't know is whether you're brave enough to use it." Her stomach flipped. How could he possibly know? She had buried that shame deep, hidden from the world. Daniel had threatened her, silenced her, made her believe she would never recover. And now this stranger was dragging it back into the light. "I'm not interested in being your pawn," she hissed. He leaned back, studying her as if she were a puzzle he already knew how to solve. "Not a pawn, a queen. But queens only matter if they move. You want revenge? You want your name back? I can help you." Elena turned away, eyes back on Daniel, who was shaking hands with his opponent like the king of a perfect kingdom. She hated that Marcus's words stirred something she thought she had buried, the desperate need for justice. Later that night, long after the debate ended, Elena sat alone in a near-empty cafe, staring into a cup gone cold. She wanted to leave the past buried, but it refused to stay dead. That was when Marcus appeared again, sliding into the seat across from her without asking. "You shouldn't be here," she muttered. "And yet," he replied smoothly, placing a slim envelope on the table between them. "Here we are." Her breath caught. The envelope was unmarked, but it radiated danger. She didn't move. "Go ahead," Marcus said softly. "It's yours." Elena hesitated before pulling it closer. She expected empty threats, or useless gossip, but when she opened it, her blood turned to ice. Inside were copies of documents, wire transfers, signatures, names, the payouts Daniel had made to election officials to rig support in his favor. But as she skimmed the pages, her hands began to shake. There it was. Her own name, written in bold black letters. A transaction made to look like she had accepted a bribe. Her throat closed. "No," she whispered, voice trembling. He put my name on this?" Marcus's eyes never left her face. He needed someone to blame if things went wrong. Who better than the woman closest to him? "He didn't just destroy you, Elena. He made sure you'd never be able to rise again." Her chest heaved as the betrayal crashed down like a second death. She had believed losing her career was the worst of it. But this was proof that Daniel had framed her, tied her name to his corruption so tightly that if he ever fell, she would fall with him. Tears burned her eyes, but anger swallowed them whole. "He ruined me," she choked out, "and the whole world believed it was my fault." Marcus leaned closer, his voice a blade wrapped in velvet. "Not the whole world. I believe you, and I believe together we can bring him down. But you need to decide. Are you ready to fight, or will you let him keep winning?" Elena looked down at the papers again, her name inked like a scar across the page. Rage pulsed in her veins, fiercer than fear. For the first time in years, she felt something awaken inside her, a spark that refused to die. She raised her head, meeting Marcus's eyes with fire. "If I do this, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me." His lips curved into the faintest smile. "That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say." But even as he spoke, Elena felt the weight of what she held. Evidence that could end Daniel's career. Yes, but also evidence that could destroy her life if it fell into the wrong hands. Every path forward was dangerous. Every choice would cost her something. And yet she couldn't look away from the truth. Daniel hadn't just betrayed her. He had branded her a criminal to protect himself. Her hands tightened around the envelope until her knuckles turned white. "He thinks he's untouchable," she whispered. "But he has no idea what I'm willing to do." Marcus sat back, eyes gleaming like a man who had just won his first battle. "Then let's make him find out." But Elena's mind was already spinning, torn between fury and dread. If she stepped into this war, there would be no turning back. And if Daniel discovered what she now held, he wouldn't hesitate to destroy her once and for all. The weight of betrayal pressed down on her chest, threatening to crush her. But beneath it all, something else flickered, dangerous, intoxicating, and impossible to ignore. For the first time since Daniel shattered her world, Elena felt power in her hands again. Power that could set her free or ruin her forever. And she knew one thing for certain. Daniel's reign was about to face its first real threat. Elena closed the envelope, eyes blazing. "He framed me," she whispered, "and I'm going to make him pay." Chapter 2. The Enemy's Hand. Elena's pulse pounded as she pushed open the office door Marcus had prepared. The envelope with Daniel's bribes burned in her pocket. A constant reminder that the man who had destroyed her life was still untouchable, at least until now. Her hands shook as she stepped toward the desk, the weight of revenge heavy on her shoulders. Marcus was already there, scanning multiple monitors with the calm precision of a predator tracking prey. "We need to move carefully," he said, not looking up. "Daniel isn't just a politician. He's a survivor. One wrong move and he'll bury you before you even get started." Elena set the envelope on the desk, letting the papers spill like weapons across the surface. "He framed me," she said, voice sharp with fury. "If I leak this, he'll come after me with everything he has. If I don't, he keeps winning." Marcus finally looked up, his eyes cold and unflinching. "Then we make him lose," he said. "Methodically, strategically. Every secret he's buried, we use it against him." Her chest tightened. She had once trusted Daniel. She had loved him. And he had left her with nothing. Rage simmered beneath the surface, demanding immediate action. But Marcus's calmness reminded her that fury alone would not be enough. They needed precision, timing, leverage. Hours passed in tense silence as they traced every wire transfer, forged contract, and falsified signature Daniel had left behind. Every document was a fresh stab of betrayal, yet also a thread to unravel him. Their hands brushed over the papers, fleeting contact that sent a spark through Elena she wasn't ready to acknowledge. "You're too close to him," she said, snapping back the distance. "I can't afford distractions." "Distractions are luxury," Marcus said, eyes not leaving the documents. "Only people who don't know what they want worry about that." Elena's jaw tightened. She couldn't afford to fall for the pull between them, not while plotting Daniel's downfall. Every move had to be calculated, every ally carefully weighed. One misstep, and the public would see her as a vengeful opportunist. "But if we aren't careful, this could blow up in your face." Then Sophie appeared in the doorway, her expression urgent, phone in hand. "Elena, we need to talk," she said. "I know what Daniel did. I know the truth." Elena froze. Sophie had always been unpredictable, curious, relentless, fearless. Now she was a potential ally, or a potential threat. Trusting her could provide leverage, but it could also invite disaster. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Because the world needs the truth," Sophie replied, glancing at Marcus briefly, measuring him. "And because if Daniel finds out I'm involved, we all lose." Elena clenched her fists. Every choice was a gamble. Every ally could be a liability. And yet, the fire inside her, the need to reclaim what was stolen, refused to die. The three of them sat, poring over documents and digital trails, plotting their first moves. Every revelation about Daniel's bribery deepened Elena's fury. Every signature and ledger entry was proof of the man's greed, his manipulation, his ruthlessness. Marcus guided each step with surgical precision, keeping Elena focused, while Sophie kept watch for potential leaks. "Why are you helping me?" Elena asked suddenly, voice low. "You could use me. Then walk away." Marcus didn't hesitate. "Because you're the only one who can end him, and because I believe in you." Her chest tightened, a dangerous spark igniting. Hope was forbidden, but it surged anyway. Vulnerability could be exploited, but strength could destroy him. She had learned that the hard way. Suddenly, Sophie's phone vibrated sharply on the desk. She picked it up, her face paling. "He knows," she whispered. "Daniel knows someone's digging into his records. He's already acting." Elena's stomach dropped. Every calculation, every strategy, was suddenly on a knife's edge. If he acted first, they could all be ruined. Panic and adrenaline collided, fueling the fire of vengeance inside her. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Then we move faster. No mistakes." Elena nodded, adrenaline sharpening her focus. She had lost everything before her career. Her reputation, her trust, but she would not lose again. Not to Daniel, not to fear. Her hands hovered over the evidence, the documents now weapons in her grasp. Confronting Daniel was terrifying, but it was the only path forward. Every fiber of her being screamed for the chance to fight, to reclaim her life. Marcus placed a steadying hand over hers. "Are you ready?" he asked. Elena met his gaze, eyes blazing. "I have to be," she whispered. Outside, the world remained oblivious to the storm brewing inside that office. Daniel's empire, built on corruption and manipulation, was about to face its first real threat. And Elena, once broken and powerless, was now a weapon in its own right. She would no longer be silenced. She would no longer be a pawn. Daniel had underestimated her. That was his fatal mistake. A sudden ping from Sophie's phone froze them. "It's him," she said, voice trembling. "He's leaked something already, and it's aimed right at you." Elena's hands tightened around the papers. Her eyes burned with determination. "Then it's time to fight." Chapter 3. Love in the Crossfire. Elena slammed the folder onto the desk, her hands trembling with a mix of fury and adrenaline. Daniel's latest move had crossed a line. He had leaked fabricated evidence framing her as a blackmailer. Her reputation, painstakingly built, was crumbling under the weight of his lies. Marcus leaned against the desk, eyes sharp, unreadable, yet the tension in the room was undeniable. Every glance, every fleeting touch as they handled documents, sent sparks through Elena she couldn't ignore. They were supposed to be strategists, partners in exposing Daniel. Not this. "I can't believe he's doing this," she hissed. "Every step I take, he's already 10 moves ahead." "You're not alone," Marcus said quietly. "We still have control. You just have to stay focused." Elena's chest tightened. She had loved Daniel, trusted him, and he had left her with nothing. Rage simmered, demanding action. But Marcus's calmness reminded her that fury alone wouldn't be enough. They needed strategy, leverage, precision. Hours passed in tense silence as they traced every wire transfer, forged contract, and falsified signature. Every document was a fresh betrayal, yet a thread to unravel him. Their hands brushed over the papers, fleeting contact igniting something dangerous. "You're too close to him," Elena said, snapping the distance. "I can't afford distractions." "Distractions are luxury," Marcus said, eyes on the monitors. "Only people who don't know what they want worry about that." Elena clenched her jaw. She couldn't afford desire not while plotting Daniel's downfall. Every move had to be calculated. One misstep could make her appear vengeful, reckless, or worse, guilty. Sophie appeared at the door, urgency written across her face, phone in hand. "Elena, you need to see this," she said. A new post had gone viral, Daniel spinning her as the villain. Comments were vicious, headlines brutal. Elena felt despair, but beneath it, fire ignited. Rage, determination, and a spark with Marcus coiled together like a storm. She could not crumble, not now. "Then we hit harder," Marcus said, voice low. "Expose him, before he exposes you completely." They worked through the night, strategizing, countering, anticipating Daniel's instincts. Every alert made Elena flinch, but adrenaline sharpened her focus. She had lost too much to let him win again. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, voice low. "You could use me and walk away." Marcus's eyes softened briefly. "Because you're the only one who can bring him down. And because I believe in you." Her chest tightened, a dangerous spark of hope and desire igniting. She hated how his words made her feel exposed. Then Sophie's phone buzzed. "It's him," she said, voice trembling. "Daniel knows someone's digging into him. He's escalating, leaking more evidence aimed at you." Elena's stomach dropped. Every plan, every precaution, now under threat. The enemy was close, watching, anticipating. Panic and adrenaline collided, but she forced herself to breathe. She would not be cornered. Marcus placed a hand over hers, steadying her. "We adapt. We fight. We make him regret underestimating you." Her gaze hardened. Daniel had taken everything once: career, reputation, trust, but not again. She would meet him head-on, no matter the risk. A notification popped up on Sophie's laptop. Video footage. Daniel speaking at a private event. Proof of bribery, manipulation, corruption, but edited to make Elena appear orchestrating everything. Elena's pulse surged. Every second counted. Marcus leaned closer. "We control the narrative. We turn this. But we have to act now." She nodded, determination flaring. "We'll expose him. But I can't ignore this," she said softly, meeting his eyes. "I can't ignore what's happening between us." Marcus's expression softened, rare vulnerability shining through. "Neither can I," he admitted. The tension was electric, the pull undeniable. Hours passed in feverish strategy. Finally, as dawn approached, temporary control settled over them. For now, Daniel's next move was contained. But Elena knew the danger had grown. One mistake could ruin everything. Elena stood, facing Marcus and Sophie. "We're ready," she said. "Whatever he throws at us, we can handle it." Sophie nodded, eyes wide, reflecting the fear and tension in the room. Marcus lingered on Elena, heavy with unspoken words and desire. For a brief moment, the world outside didn't exist, only the storm inside and the dangerous pull between them. Then Sophie's phone buzzed again. Pale-faced, she whispered, "Daniel's released another leak. It's live. It's going everywhere in seconds." Elena's fists tightened. Her eyes burned with resolve. Then it's time to strike back. The live feed began spreading across screens. Elena's heart thundered. The next move would decide everything: her revenge, her survival, and the truth that could finally bring Daniel down. Chapter 4. The lantern burns. Elena's hands trembled as she stared at the screen. The live feed of Daniel's scandal rolling faster than she could track. Every second, his lies, manipulations, and carefully crafted image unraveled in real time. The fabricated clips, the viral attacks meant to destroy her, now hung like a noose around his own neck, twisted by the evidence she had gathered. Marcus stood beside her, tense, every muscle coiled as if ready to spring. He had been her anchor through this storm, guiding every move with lethal precision. But she knew the weight of victory or failure rested squarely on her shoulders. Sophie's phone buzzed continuously, alerts of comments, shares, and reactions piling up. The world was watching, and for the first time, Elena held the power to shape what they would see. "This is it," Marcus murmured. "Every second counts. One wrong move, and he spins this. One right move, and it's over for him." Elena swallowed, her throat tight. She had imagined this moment for weeks, envisioned exposing Daniel, reclaiming her name, taking back what he had stolen. And yet, the fear that he might still destroy her nagged at the edge of her mind. He had survived scandals before. He had manipulated truth like clay. But now, the scales had tipped, and she was no longer the woman who would silently endure. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, her pulse thundering. "He thought he could break me," she whispered. "But he underestimated how far I'd go." Marcus glanced at her, eyes softening briefly, before the steel returned. "And he doesn't know the half of it." The live feed showed Daniel speaking to his loyalists, trying to spin the narrative in his favor. But Elena had anticipated his every word, every gesture. She had prepared counter-evidence, real proof of his bribery and manipulation, and every screen she touched sent it live. Transactions, contracts, recordings, all the pieces of his corruption that he had spent years burying now illuminated for the world to see. Sophie leaned closer, eyes wide. It's working. People are seeing the truth. Elena's heart raced, not with victory alone, but with the fear of what came next. Daniel was powerful, ruthless. He would strike back, and she had to be ready. Every strategy she had executed in secrecy now bore fruit, but the danger was far from over. Then her phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. "You'll regret this. You'll lose everything." She smiled, bitter and triumphant. "No," she whispered. "This time, you lose." Marcus's hand found hers again, grounding her. Their fingers brushed, and for a fleeting second, all the tension, all the danger, gave way to something raw and unspoken. She could feel the pull between them, fierce and undeniable, even in the eye of the storm. "Don't let him distract you," Marcus warned. But his gaze lingered, heavy with something she didn't dare name. Elena nodded, heart pounding. There would be time later. Right now, the fight was everything. She uploaded the final documents, the smoking gun Daniel couldn't deny. Within minutes, the response was instantaneous. Trending hashtags, news alerts, messages flooding in. Public opinion shifted violently, and Daniel's carefully built empire began crumbling before her eyes. Then, a knock at the door startled them. Sophie's face went pale. "It's the press. They've traced the leak back to Daniel's office. They're coming here." Elena's pulse quickened. This was it. The confrontation she had known would come. She straightened, eyes burning. "Then we meet them. Together." Marcus's lips curved in a small, tense smile. "Together," he echoed. The word was heavy with promise, a hint of the trust and connection that had grown between them amidst betrayal and chaos. Seconds later, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward. Elena stepped forward, every step a declaration. She spoke clearly, confidently, revealing the full truth, dismantling Daniel's lies with undeniable proof. Every lie he had used to destroy her career was exposed. Every manipulation, every bribe, every attempt to frame her crumbled in the light of evidence she had meticulously prepared. Daniel appeared on the screen, frantic, but it was too late. The empire he had built on corruption and deception collapsed publicly, and the world watched as the man who once had power over everyone found himself powerless. Elena's chest heaved, not with triumph alone, but with release. Years of rage, heartbreak, and betrayal were transforming into justice. She had fought for herself, for her name, and she had won. Marcus approached her, voice low but sincere. "You did it, Elena. You took everything back." She met his gaze, eyes fierce and alive. "We did it," she corrected, a fleeting smile breaking through her tension. The word carried weight acknowledgement of him, the partner who had stood by her, the man she couldn't ignore. The room quieted, the chaos outside fading as they finally allowed themselves a moment of stillness. Elena looked at Marcus, the tension between them unresolved, but the trust undeniable. Sophie stood nearby, proud but exhausted, knowing the storm had passed for now. Elena's thoughts briefly flickered to Daniel, the man who had tried to destroy her. But now he was powerless, exposed to the world, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Freedom. She could rebuild, reclaim, and finally live on her own terms. Marcus stepped closer, his voice soft. "Are you going to let me in?" Elena's lips curved into a small, defiant smile. "I think I finally can." Their hands found each other's fingers entwining. And for the first time since the nightmare began, Elena allowed herself to breathe fully, letting the tension, the fear, and the danger transform into something new. Love, trust, and a hard-won victory. The storm outside may have raged, but inside, Elena found calm and a future she had thought impossible. Daniel's reign of deception was over, and in its place, she had reclaimed not just her life, but her power, her name, and a chance at a love that had emerged from the ashes of betrayal. In the end, justice was served. Daniel's empire had fallen. Elena's name was cleared, and amidst the chaos and danger, a new bond had formed, a love born not in ease, but in fire, trust, and triumph. To summarize this story, Elena, once betrayed and cast aside by Daniel, discovered the dark corruption behind his rise to power. With Marcus at her side, she turned betrayal into fuel for a dangerous game of strategy, exposing bribes, lies, and ruthless manipulation. Every step pushed her deeper into a battle of revenge, but also into an unexpected pull of forbidden attraction. Through secrets, scandals, and shocking twists, she finally shattered Daniel's empire, reclaimed her name, and found a new beginning where truth and love could burn brighter than ambition. If you enjoyed this tale of love and revenge, please subscribe to my channel for more intense, dramatic romances. Your support means everything. Thank you for watching.